What's going on, everyone? Tagupa Troopa coming back at you with another post-draft analysis video. If you haven't been able to tell already by the land that we have in here, we tried to run the Is It strategy, which was the Is It lessons aggro. So essentially, you're using lessons to kind of build up your hand, make sure that you're aggressively pushing against your opponent. I didn't do very well with this deck, just to be frank with everyone. I was not a very good pilot for this deck. I think I built a really strong deck. I think there is a few cards that I think I should have been looking out for more than the ones that I did, but I'll kind of go over the strategy with you right now. So starting off with the creatures, if you couldn't already tell, I did pull the Wan Chi. This was in the second pack that I had drafted. This card is super strong with Flash, Flying, and Vigilance. And then whenever you cast it, you put X +1/+1 counters on him, and then you draw half the X cards that was rounded down. Typically, I was using it with 4 mana, just so I wasn't using up all of my mana just to cast him, but this card worked out really well. And then when an opponent searches their library for a +1, put a +1/+1 counter on Wan Chi and draw a card. This card was super strong, especially if my opponent decided to activate. There was one instant that is a I can't remember the face card for it. But the other one is whenever you're going up against any green decks and they decide to search for a basic land, holy moly, you get those +1/+1 counters, which and the draw power, which helps out a lot. Serpent of the Past. This one was another one that was really good, especially because if you had 3 or more lesson cards in your graveyard, it had Flash, and then this spell costs 1 less for each non-creature, non-land card in your graveyard. So immediately off the bat, if you have 3 lessons, it's already only going to cost you 2 colorless and 2 blues. Love this card. This card came in super strong as a 6/5. It really made most of my opponents have to remove it as kind of, or they had to use their board removal for Serpent of the Past. The Mechanist, Aerial Artisan, I actually had 2 of these, so this really helped out with being more consistent. When you cast a non-creature spell, you create a clue token, and then until the end of turn, target artifact creature token you control becomes a 3/1 construct artifact creature with flying. This was great for getting around a lot of the flyers in blue-white deck strategies, especially the Iguana Parrot. I do have one in here as well, but I really liked being able to just generate a 3/1 right into the combat step, and then the opponent really either had to figure out if they wanted to deal with it, or most of the time I'd let them swing in and then I'd just sack a clue just to get rid of their flyers. So great card. Great card. Iguana Parrot. This one is really strong, especially in this format. So it's 2 and a blue, Flying, Vigilance, and then it has Prowess, which makes it a really strong candidate just to, give it that extra +1/+1 just to swing in for 3 direct damage if your opponent doesn't have flyers. Like I said, I use the Mechanist to try to get rid of most of these Iguana Parrots whenever I'd run into them. Dragonfly Swarm. I ended up not seeing this until probably one of the last few rounds for the last pack, but this one came by and I was like, definitely have to run it as flying, ward 1, and then this creature's power is equal to the number of non-creature, non-land cards in your graveyard. And when this creature dies, if there's a lesson card in your graveyard, draw a card. Holy moly, this one was a good one. I liked using this one. One of my opponents, though, kind of figured out a way around the ward, as well as the having the creature die so that I could draw 1. I'll have to remember. I believe it was sold out. They activated a sold out on it when it was like a 7/3, and Sold Out just immediately exiled it, didn't even let it die. But if I remember correct, oh no, it wasn't Sold Out. It was the Legend of the Airbending Avatar. I can't remember what that one was. Not Aang, the one prior to Aang. But that one just because I had a 7/3. It's a 3 mana drop, and man, that one got me. Mostly because it was a choice. Uh, it wasn't a target. It was a choice based on kind of the wording of the card. Borcupine. This one was also a really strong one. When you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. I saw this a few times during pre-release, but I found it was way stronger when I was looking at the draft packs and what people were kind of packing into those ones, because of course when you activate a lesson, this thing gets a +1/+1 counter. During this draft, I actually built this thing up to a 7/7 at one point, just because I was casting so many non-creature spells. Knowledge Seeker. This one's another good one. Vigilance, and then whenever you draw your second card, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. And then if this creature dies, you create a clue token. Really good kind of a defense mechanism, just a sack outlet just to get the clue, especially if I needed to get rid of any big creatures that were giving me a little bit more trouble than I would have liked. Messenger Hawk. This one was another really strong card. I really like this card, especially because it's flexible for the blue strategies or the black strategies. But it has flying, and then whenever this creature enters, you create a clue token. This creature gets +2/+0 as long as you've drawn 2 or more cards this turn. Really good for just if you swing in, your opponent decides not to block it, and then you decide, you know what, I'm going to sack one of the clues. I'm going to make it a 3/2, and then you swing in for 3. Really neat interaction. Ty Lee, Artful Acrobat. This one's the red Ty Lee. It has prowess, and then whenever Ty Lee attacks, you may pay 1, and when you do, target creature can't block this turn. Didn't work as well as I would have liked to, but it helped out in some strategies, especially if I was attacking and the opponent had one really big creature on board. I was able to just pay the 1 just to keep their creature from blocking. Katara, Bending Prodigy. So I tried to pair this up with the Master Paku here, and I think the issue that I had was that Master Paku was great just to tap just for the waterbending ability. But where I kind of got stuck with Katara was that her first ability at the beginning of your end step, if Katara is tapped, put a +1/+1 counter on her. You really had to kind of strategize how you wanted to get her to be tapped, especially if you're bringing her in late game, where an opponent might have a board of 4/4s or a 5/4 or something like that. Really hard for Katara to just attack, and because she just immediately gets wiped off the board. So I recommend, if you're going to use her, try to use the waterbending ability and try to use it with more creatures that work really well with the waterbending ability. For example, Master Paku, if it becomes tapped, you target player mills X cards, where X is the number of lesson cards in your graveyard. I found trying to use this strategy more for my deck, just because I needed more of the lessons in the graveyard. But always like to see if there was a way that I could have milled some of my opponent's cards, but some of my opponents had creatures like Platypus Bear on board, where it actually benefited to have lessons in the grave. Deserter's Disciple. This card was a late game choice. I ended up swapping him in because the issue I was having was I didn't have enough creatures. If you didn't notice, I actually only had about 13 creatures in this deck. But I'll kind of go over exactly why I was kind of doing it that way. And then tap target creature you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. This strategy worked really well if you were running, let's see, it was Knowledge Seeker at first. But then what would happen is, if Knowledge Seeker ends up getting a +1/+1 counter from drawing, assuming that my opponent was correct, I'm gonna have to look this up because this seems like something I may have missed. But another target creature you control with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. The problem that I had was that if I had targeted Knowledge Seeker, once it gets a +1/+1, it's no longer a power 2 or less. So I think that the interaction between these two didn't work as well as I had originally thought it would. But anyway, I needed more creatures in this deck. Again, this was only 13 creatures, and going into the sorceries, instants, enchantments, everything like that. This is where I had put more of the bulk just so I could build up more of those non-creature spell strategies. Boomerang Basics, already a great card. Return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you control that permanent, draw a card. Good way to block and then bring something back. Well, actually, I take that back because this one's a sorcery, so you can't do that. But what you can do is you can get rid of something on your opponent's board. I guess, sorry, I must have been thinking of Into the Floodmaw. This is supposed to be kind of the replacement to Into the Floodmaw. However, Into the Floodmaw is slightly better because it's an instant and lets you activate it during combat steps. But this one's a good one just to get rid of an opponent's card relatively quickly or just for the turn, just so you can kind of strike in. Accumulate Wisdom. I actually snagged 2 of these. Card was great for this deck. I mean, you pretty much look at the top 3, you pick one, you put the other 2 on the bottom, and the one that you chose you add to the hand. But if you have 3 or more lessons in your graveyard, then you get all 3. So you pretty much draw 3 at that point. Love this card. This card is super good. Abandoned Attachments. This one's also a really good one. I especially like that it's a hybrid where blue or white, or excuse me, blue or red. It makes it easy if you only have a mountain on board and you have some colorless mana, or if you have an island on board or 2 islands on board. It makes it really easy to discard 1 and then you get to draw 2. This also helps with adding lessons into the graveyard if you need that. Iroh's Demonstration, another really strong removal card. My issue with this one was I just didn't activate it at the correct times. I was going up against an opponent that was using the allies kind of strategy, the Boros strategy, and I should have picked up on it earlier. I activated this card on turn 2 just for them to build up a board of about 5 or 6 allies the turn after, and I should have held on to this one. So again, bad piloting on my part. Still a very strong card. Lost Days. This one was kind of one that I wasn't sure if I wanted to keep 2 of. The problem is it's 5 mana to activate it, but still a really strong card because it adds the card either to second from the top or to the bottom, and then you create a clue token. Firebender Ascension. This was another card that I was using in order to get another creature on board. So this was technically a 14th creature that I was using, which was nice because you get a 2/2 and it has Firebending 1, which is great for just 2 mana. And then if you use the Firebending ability enough, you got to copy the ability. However, I never really found myself using this so much. So this card wasn't super strong for my deck. I did add it in just so I can get some more creatures and as well as activating an enchantment, a non-creature, non-land spell. And then the last one, Legend of Roku. Really like this saga. I never got to the 3rd one. This thing got removed so quickly every single time I had it on board. The Exile of the top 3. This first saga, or first lore counter was great. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards that you exile. So it was really great just to, you dump a land, you get to add a land this turn. You dump another land, you get to add one the following turn. The issue that I had with this was there was one game where it actually removed both of the or I exiled the 2 mechanists that I had in this deck. So that didn't really help out, especially because I had already used 4 mana to cast this turn. I wanted to hold on to some of the other mana to try to counter any spells that I would run into, but otherwise, this was a great card. Loved the legend of the previous avatars. So these are pretty good. And then last but not least, go over the lands. So the lands, I ended up going with 2 kind of specialty lands. So I went with the Airship Engine Room, mostly because I wanted to have that blue and red mana available. I ran into this card pretty consistently every game. And then the White Lotus Hideout, I had kind of debated on this one. And then when I was reading the add 1 mana of any colors, spend this mana only to cast Lesson or Shrine spell, really was a great card for the deck. Worked out really well. And then I ended up going with 9 islands. And let's see, it was 6 mountains. Overall, great deck. I really loved playing this strategy. I don't play Izzet very often. It's not like a color pairing that I'm usually very good at or understand. So I wanted to use it as a way to try to learn a little bit, try to get a little bit better at kind of picking up on strategies. Yeah, this was a learning exercise for me. I ended up going 1 and 2 that night. I got the bye on the first one, and then I lost the other 2 matches against 2 of the more experienced players that are at the store. So, but like I said, learning lesson for me. Like I said, one of the big things that I'll do another video on is the flash. So when you have Serpent of the Pass and Wan Chitong that both have flash, there are times when you'll want to use the flash, and there are other times when you'll need to hold on to the creature until there's a better opportunity to use the flash ability. So again, learning opportunity, something for me to kind of work on, but I'll do another video about when to use flash and good opportunities and a few puzzles and stuff like that. So thanks for joining. Tagupa Trooper here. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I'll try to get back to them as early as I can. So thanks for joining. Tagging out.